हरि ओम हरि ओम। ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री हिरण्यगर्भाय नमः। ओम श्री महाविष्णवे नमः। ओम श्री महादेवाय नमः। ओम श्री महादुर्गाय नमः। ओम सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। ओम गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं। भवानी शङ्करौ वन्दे श्रद्धाविश्वासरूपिणौ याभ्यां विना न पश्यन्ति सिद्धाः स्वान्तस्तमीश्वरम्। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। रामाय रामभद्राय रामचन्द्राय वेधसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीतायाः पतये नमः। बुद्धिर्बलं यशोधैर्यं निर्भयत्वमरोगता अजाड्यं वाक्पटुत्वं च हनुमत्स्मरणात् भवेत्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्य देहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ नमः शिवाय 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 ॐ नमः शिवाय। नमः पार्वतीपतये। हर हर महादेव। हरि ओम हरि ओम। So Bhagwan is teaching us the path of dhyana, which culminates in self-realization. So Bhagavan says a dhyana yogi should meditate in a solitary place, alone, renouncing all his desires and all other activities, sitting in a very clean, proper place. He should meditate on the self. So free from all distraction, total dedication to one's teacher and the teacher's teaching, restraining all the mind when we meditate on the self as Paramatma. The Atma should be considered as Param Atma, and one should gain that abidance in that Paramatma. So Bhagavan says one who does this regularly for a long time, then one gains that abidance in the self, and with that one experiences supreme happiness. Yatra cha eva atmana atmanam pashyan atmani tushyati. One gains happiness in the self by the self of the self. And this happiness is beyond the senses. This happiness is beyond objective happiness. It is experienced through purified buddhi. And having gained this, he will know that there is no greater gain than this. Yam labdva cha aparam labham na manyate adhikam tataha. And yasmin sthito na dukkhena guruna api vichalyate. And having gained abidance in this, that yogi doesn't get disturbed by greatest of sorrow in this world. Therefore, finally, Bhagavan defines that yoga as viyoga from all dukkha. So let us chant verse number 23. Tam vidya dukkha sanyoga viyogam yoga sanyitam sanischayena yoktavyaha yogo nirvinna chetasa. Bhagavan says, Tam vidyat. Understand that dhyana, which was described early. Bhagavan says this dhyana is a yoga. You understand this yoga as dukkha sanyoga viyoga. As viyoga. Viyoga means separation. Yoga means to join, but here with the opposite meaning Bhagavan defines yoga as separation from all sorrows. Dukkha sanyoga viyogam. There is an association with all that gives sorrow. See, we have, as I have mentioned, we have this avidya, which is anadi, and due to this avidya, we identify with our body, mind, intellect, and we have lots of kamana, and we work in this world and get attached to the results, and all this gives sorrow, pain. Sarvam dukkham dukkham, sarvam kshanikam kshanikam, everything is temporary, everything gives sorrow. The whole world gives different types of sorrow because everything is temporary, it doesn't last. So, but this sorrow is not our nature. This sorrow is not permanent. Our contact with the world is giving us this sorrow, our wrong contact. Our contact is due to our ignorance, so through our mind, through our buddhi, we are holding on to this objects which gives us sorrow and pain. So through knowledge and through meditation, when we detach from all this which is giving us sorrow, we will experience the supreme happiness of our own self. So this detachment from attachment to sorrow is what is called yoga. So tam vidyat dukkha sanyoga viyogam yoga sannitam. The more and more we become detached from all that is not the self, all that we are holding on due to ignorance, as we become more and more detached, and as we become more and more established in ourselves, we experience supreme joy. So that is what is called yoga. And this joy is of our own self, which is infinite. It has got no limitation of any kind. So in order to gain this supreme goal of our life, that realization of the self, we have to meditate. And again Bhagavan tells us how to meditate and attain this supreme goal. So all that he has said before, Bhagavan summarizes now the very essence of meditation. He says in the second line of this verse, कि स निश्चयेन योक्तव्यः योगो anirvinna chetasa, that we should pursue this path of yoga, we should pursue the path of meditation, dhyana yoga, nishchayena, with firm resolve, with firm determination. That is called nishchay. With firm resolve, one should follow this path. Resolve to attain self-realization. With that one and only one agenda, one should sit and meditate and not stop till we reach our goal. Like Swami Vivekananda ji used to say, rise, awake and stop not till you reach your goal. So sanishchayena yoktavyaha yogaha anirvinna chetasa. Another quality which Bhagavan says, which we should have, that we should pursue this path without getting tired, without getting dejected, without getting depressed, without becoming lazy, without losing our enthusiasm. With firm resolve and with full enthusiasm, one should pursue this path and should stop not till we attain our goal. Only with that firm resolve, when we move, we will be able to attain our goal. That is very, very important quality. Nishchay. In the 9th chapter also, there is a very beautiful shloka where Bhagavan says, Api chet suduracaraha bhajate mam ananya bhag sadhureva samantavyaha samyak vyavasito hisaha. He says that even if a person is the greatest of all sinner, durachari, doing all sorts of bad things, even if a person is the greatest sinner, but the moment he take a decision that enough is enough, I will drop everything and pursue this path of goodness. Bhagavan says the moment he makes such a firm resolve, such a firm decision, you consider that person as a good person only, as sadhu, sadhureva samantavyaha. Similarly here, the important factor is the resolve. See, all of us, we have lot of knowledge, we have lot of our qualification, which we have gained in the inner purity and after pursuing this path. So what prevents us from attaining that goal? Our lack of resolve. The moment we resolve, we will be able to attain the goal. It's a very beautiful story which I had read, that a person a traveler traveling long distance, he reached a village, and there was a tea stall. So he stopped there, and there were two roads in front of him. And one of the road was going towards the temple where he wanted to go. Another road was going elsewhere. So he stopped there and he asked that person, he was sitting there, he asked the person who was selling the tea that please tell me which road goes to the temple. So the tea staller, he did not reply. So this traveler just sat there, took a cup of tea, was drinking, inquiring about the village and other things about the place. Then again he asked, please tell me which road I should take, which road goes to the temple. Again the tea seller did not reply. After asking him several times, he did not reply. So the traveler got really angry, frustrated. He picked up his bag and just started walking ahead. So as he was walking, the tea seller told him that the road to the right will take you to the temple. So the traveler was surprised. He says, I have been asking you so many times, why didn't you reply at that time? He said, that time you had not made a resolve to walk. Now that you have made a resolve, I am showing you the direction. Similarly, in our life on this spiritual path, resolve plays a very important role. The moment we resolve to become good, the moment we resolve to walk this path, we will be able to walk and we will get blessings from nature, we will get blessings from Ishvara. So that is what is said here. Sa nishchayena yoktavyaha yogo anirvinna chetasa. Says कि you with a firm resolve you walk this path with full enthusiasm without getting fatigued or lazy or depressed or dejected. Remove all these negativities and with full enthusiasm and joy you walk this path with firm resolve, and definitely you will attain the goal. Bhagwan had already given us systematically the whole technique of Dhyana Yoga. We had seen the external conditions which are required for meditation, the internal conditions which are required for meditation, on what we should meditate, what is the lifestyle we should adopt. Everything was revealed in the previous shlokas. But now Bhagwan summarizes the essence of meditation. The entire Dhyana Yoga Bhagwan summarizes in the following two verses. So let us see these two beautiful verses. Verse number 24. संकल्प प्रभवान कामान त्यक्त्वा सर्वान् शेषतः मनसैवेन्द्रियग्रामं विनियम्य समन्ततः. हाँ, भगवान सेज कि संकल्प प्रभवान कामान त्यक्त्वा सर्वान् अशेषतः. Again, he briefly gives the external condition. He says the first step is to drop all kamana, all desires which are created, which are born from sankalpa. See, as I mentioned, that a lot of desires are we carry from our past lives, but they remain dormant, they remain within. But when we get excited through some stimuli of this world and start contemplating on those objects, then this dormant desire get activated and they lead us through to various types of actions to gain their fulfillment in this world. So thinking about achieving those desired objects, thinking about acquiring them and indulging in the pleasures which one gains through this object, those type of thinking is called sankalpa. Meditating on the results which we will gain by acquiring the objects of this world or some status in this world, or even gaining some higher world, Swargalok or Brahmalok, when we start imagining, when we do our fanciful imagination about it, then that activates the dormant desires which are there within. And when they get activated, our mind becomes restless. Mind wants to perform those actions and get those results. So, Bhagavan says that if you want to meditate, you have to renounce all these desires by renouncing the sankalpa. तो संकल्प प्रभवान कामान त्यक्त्वा सर्वान अशेषतः. So drop all these kamanas which gets generated through our sankalpa, asheshatah, completely. Means don't have any fanciful imaginations about the pleasures of this world and the other world. Don't activate the inner samskars of your mind. As they say, let the sleeping lion lie like that only. Don't wake him up. Don't wake up the Rakshasa who is sleeping. Just like how Kumbhakarna keeps on sleeping. Don't wake him up. Similarly, within us we have a storehouse of lots and lots of desires which we have acquired from our past lives, which are acquired by indulging in different types of pleasures of this world and the other world. So they are there, stored. So Bhagavan says, they don't activate them by imagining and creating fanciful imagination about enjoying those pleasures. See, it's just like sometimes we are living our life comfortably, simple life. Then our friend from our childhood comes and stays with us. And we start talking about our childhood, we start talking about our young age, and it activates a lot of these memories of the past. And then we develop those desires which we used to have in our young age. He will say, oh, let us go and have that Golgappa which we used to have. Let us go and enjoy that other place where we used to go. Let us go and meet those people whom we used to have fun with in our young age. So it activates all the samskars which were there hidden. And I also get excited and start running around here and there with my friend. Same thing happens, that our antakarana is filled with lot of desires, but don't activate them. We activate them when we get some stimuli from the world outside, we start imagining and thinking about it, and all these things get activated, and the whole churning happens. See, it's like a water. Let us say you collect water from a pond. It rains and you collect the water. The water is very muddy. So if you just place that water at one place, then all the dirt, it settles down. In that vessel, all the dirt settles down. And you can see a clean layer of water on top. But if you put your hand or spoon and start churning it, then all the dirt will again come up. Similarly, through our long practice of karma yoga, through our practice of upasana, through our practice of gaining that knowledge, Shravan and Manan, lot of this dust of our antakarana gets settled down. They remain down. They are there. They are not destroyed. They are dormant. They remain dormant. So let them just be. Don't disturb. Don't start imagining. Don't start going into the past or future. Don't start indulging in different pleasures. Then the desire to acquire them and to actually enjoy them will come, and it will make our mind very restless, and we will not be able to meditate. So the first step is to drop all these kamanas which are arising from sankalpa. So sankalpa prabhavan kamans tyaktva sarvan asheshataha. So having dropped all these desires arising from sankalpa, thereafter the mind becomes very calm, peaceful. Then with that mind, manasa eva indriya gramam viniyamya samantataha. Bhagavan says, controlling all the senses. Control all your senses with your mind. Means close your eyes, ears, nose, hold your hands, legs, speech. Control all your organs of action, perception with your mind. Means don't allow your senses and the mind to go. Don't allow your senses to go into the world of objects. Restrain them from going out. Restrain them within the mind. Shift your attention from the world and shift your attention from the body also. As I had said before also, that we should not think of our physical body. So shift your attention from your body, controlling all the senses. This is the first step. Then, in the next verse, Bhagavan says, Shanay Shanairuparamid Buddhya Dhriti Gruhitaya Atma Sanstam Manakritva न किंचिदपि चिंतयेत. Bhagavan says, having controlled the senses, quietened the mind, dropped all the kamna and all, then Bhagavan says, Shanay Shanay Ruparamed Buddhya Dhriti Grihitya, with your buddhi, with your firm resolve, with your firm understanding, withdraw your attention slowly and steadily. Shanay Shanay, withdraw your attention from the world, from your body. Shanay Shanay Ruparamed Buddhya Dhriti Grihitaya, with a buddhi which is held firm with dhriti, dhairya. Dhriti means with patience, with perseverance. That quality should be there in our buddhi. Meditation requires tremendous patience. Slowly and steadily, we should be able to withdraw our attention from the world towards the self. So it requires tremendous dhairya, dhriti, patience, perseverance, total focus, total attention, without losing interest, with full enthusiasm. One should be able to withdraw the attention from the names and forms and focus the attention on the self. Shanay Shanay Ruparamed Buddhya Dhriti Grihitaya Atma Sanstham Manakritva Na Kinchidapi Chintayet. Bhagavan says, place your attention on yourself. Atma Sanstham Manakritva. Place your mind in yourself. See, when we say the self here, we mean the Param Atma. Shankaracharya ji writes in his commentary, ki Atma Sanstham. What is the meaning of Atma Sanstham? Atmani Sansthitam, placed in the Atma. But what is Atma? Atma eva sarvam, na tataha anyat kinchid asti, iti evam Atma Sanstham. One should bring this understanding that everything is self alone. Atma eva sarvam, everything is Atma alone. Other than Atma, nothing is there. Na kinchidapi chintayet. Afterwards, one should not think of anything else. Again, to give you that example, so this pot is like our gross body. These are all like the Sukshma Sharir, and outside the whole other pots and all are other and the whole world. But this space is like that Atma. The I, the sense of I which we experience in this body is called Atma. But the space everywhere, the total space which is present in all the pots, which is present in all the bodies, is called Param Atma. So Atma and Param Atma. Meditation should be in the first initial stages. We meditate on the Atma and locate that Atma. But then we should understand this Atma as Param Atma. We should understand ourself as everything and everyone. There is nothing other than the self. The world is the self. Ishvara is the self. Everything is my own self. That's called Atma Sanstam Manak Kritva Na Kinchitapi Chintayet. And having placed that mind in this self, one should not think of anything else. See, in the beginning, when we are trying to locate our own self, we shift our attention from the world, we shift our attention from our body, and focus our attention on ourself within this body. But once we have recognized this self, we have to understand this self alone is there in the whole world. So then there is no need to shift our attention from the world or the body within this body, but we should shift our attention from the names and forms towards that Param Atma, which is present in everything and everyone. I hope you are understanding. For example, a gold ornament is there. When you look at that gold ornament, suppose a bangle is there. When you are looking at that bangle, you can not only look at that bangle as bangle, but you can look at it as gold also. How can I look at it as gold? When I shift my attention from the bangle, from the shape, from the name, then what remains there is gold. If my attention is on the name and shape, then my attention gets shifted from the gold. But when I pay attention to shift my attention from name and form, my attention goes on gold. So this Atma, which is Paramatma, is everything and everyone. So one should focus one's attention, let the mind think of this Atma as Paramatma, and let the mind gain abidance in this Atma. So Atma Sanstam Manak Kritva Na Kinchit Abhichintayet. Thereafter, one should not think of anything else. Once the mind gains abidance in the self, then don't initiate any more thinking. Then thinking is not required. In the beginning, while meditating, we need thinking, but thinking about the self. And once our attention gets established in the self, then thinking is not required. Thinking is just a means to shift our attention to the self. And once it gains that attention, thereafter thinking is not required. Just like when we are feeling very sleepy, all other thoughts from our mind goes away and only one thought remains, I want to sleep, I want to sleep, I want to sleep. Some program is happening and then you are just waiting for it to get over so that you can just go to your room and go to sleep. So all the time in the background that thought is there, I want to sleep, I want to sleep, I want to sleep. Then you get an opportunity, you feel very happy. So you go to your room, you lie down on the bed, close your eyes and just fall asleep. Then that thought, I want to sleep, also disappears into that sleep. Similarly, while meditating, we should have only one thought of the self. Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. I am that Chid Ananda Rup Shiva. Then, as our attention gets shifted to that self, thereafter this thought is also not required. So just drop that thought and just remain there as Shiva. Shivoham, Shivoham, Shivoham. So Atma Sanstam Manakritva Na Kinchidapi Chintayet. Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji writes कि एष योगस्य परमो विधिः. This is the supreme procedure of meditation. This is the supreme vidhi of meditation. This is the supreme technique of meditation. That you drop all the kamana, control all your senses with your mind, and slowly and steadily, not in a hurry, slowly, slowly, slowly and steadily withdraw your attention from all the names and forms with your buddhi held firmly with perseverance and patience, and place your attention in yourself, Atma, which is Param Atma. So consider your Atma itself as Param Atma. Param Atma means Supreme Self. See, when we consider the Self only within this body, then we call it Atma. But when we understand that Atma is everywhere in everyone, then that Atma itself is called Paramatma. Just like we say pot space and a total space. But there is only total space. There is no such thing called pot space because there is only one space. Then there are no divisions in that space. So there are no divisions in that Param Atma. So focusing your attention in your own self as Param Atma, thereafter don't initiate any thought. Just remain there as long as you can. So this is the supreme technique of meditation. There is nothing greater than this. Everything else is lesser than this. But as we practice this meditation, due to the force of our samskar, due to the force of habit, our mind will start thinking and will start going, or our attention will start shifting away from ourself. Due to the force of habit, which is nothing but our samskar, the mind may start thinking and our attention will get shifted away from the self. So when such a thing happens, what should we do? Bhagwan says now in the next verse, he says, Yato yato nischarati manaschancalamastheram tatastato niyamaitad atmanneva vasham nayet. Bhagwan says, Yato yato yasmat yasmat nimitta shabdadehe. Through whatever reason, when the attention of our attention gets shifted towards something else, yato yato nischarati manaschanchalam astiram, because the mind is chanchala, mind is restless by nature, and mind is not steady because of our samskar of the past. Mind is not steady and mind is turbulent and restless. Therefore mind start thinking of something else, and because of that our attention gets shifted somewhere else while meditating. If such a thing happens, what should we do? Bhagwan says, tatas tato niyamya. Wherever the mind shifts, hold that mind, restrain that mind there itself. whatever object it is thinking, whatever place it is thinking about, restrain the mind, stop it there, and there itself place it again in the self. Tatas tato niyamya etad atmani eva vasham nayet. Again place it in the self. Now this is very interesting and important. The mind is thinking, let us say I am meditating on the self, the mind start thinking of some place, or mind start thinking of some object, mind start thinking of some other time. So mind goes into the past, present or future. The mind goes into some other space or other time, other object. But in all times, in all space and in all objects, Atma is present. So when the mind is thinking of some object, there itself, in that object itself, shift the attention from the name and form and place it in that Atma which is present there. Atmani eva vasham nayet. Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji writes in his commentary कि यतो यतो यस्मात् यस्मान् निमित्तात् शब्दादेः निश्चरति निर्गच्छति स्वभाव दोषात् मनः चंचलम अत्यर्थम चलम अतएव अस्थिरम ततत् ततत् तस्मात् तस्मात् शब्दादेः निमित्तात् नियम्य तत्तद् निमित्तं याथात्म्य निरूपणेन आभासीकृत्य वैराग्य भावनया च एतद् मन आत्मनि एव वशं नयेत् आत्मवश्यताम आपादयेत्. Bhagwan says, because of the swabhav of this mind, because of the impurities of the mind tends to think about some object. So Bhagwan says that in that object itself, by again thinking and analyzing it, shift your attention from the names and forms. It is just a superimposition on that truth. You pay attention to that reality, to that Paramatma. Again, let me give you some example. Let us analyze something. I have something here for you. कुछ लेकर आ गया हूँ मैं. This, can you see this? What is this? What is this? You know? What is this? This is a snake. No, it's not a snake. It is a rope which looks like a snake, which appears like a snake. Okay? So this is a rope which appears like a snake. Now let us pay attention, So this is in front of me. This object is in front of me. I can look at this object in various ways. One is, I understand this as a rope. I say this is a rope. Another is, I say this is a rope which appears like a snake. Both the statements are correct. This is a rope or this is a rope which appears like a snake. Now, one more thing. One may understand this as a snake. Somebody may say, this is a snake. If a person says this is a snake, that is a wrong understanding. It's a wrong understanding. Why that wrong understanding? He says this is a snake. Why that? There is no snake in front, but that person sees a snake in front. He says this is a snake. So where is that snake which this person is seeing? That person is seeing a snake which is there in his mind. There is no snake in front of him. There is only a rope which appears like a snake, but he thinks there is a snake. That snake is only in his mind. It is not there outside. And where did that snake come? From where did the snake come in his mind? That snake came in his mind from his memory. How did he have that memory? He had seen a real snake, and that had formed a memory. So when he saw something similar, it triggered that memory. But by mistake, he thought that there is this actual snake outside. So the snake which is there in his head, he doesn't have a reality outside. So that snake in his head is called mithya. It is not real. It is just imaginary. So the snake in his head is mithya. But the snake, the rope which looks like a snake in front of him is really there. So, again, when I look at this rope, I understand it in two ways. One is that it is a rope, and second, that it is a rope which appears like a snake. Okay? But there is a third way of looking at it, which the scriptures are saying. The scripture says, this is Paramatma. In front of you, it's Paramatma only. This rope is Paramatma. This rope is Brahma. This is the Paramarthik Drishti. It is the absolute reality. It's called Paramarthik Satta. To consider this rope, to understand this rope as Paramatma is a Paramarthik Satta. To understand this rope as rope is a Vyavaharik Satta. To understand this rope is looking like a snake is Pratibhasik Satta, apparent reality. But to mistake this rope as snake, as real snake, is Abhas. And that snake is Mithya. It is only in my head. Okay? If this is understood about this rope, then this world which I see, this world, the scripture says, the highest vision of this world given by the scripture is that this world is Brahma. Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. This world which you see in front of you is that Brahma, means it is Paramatma, means it is not different from your own Atma. So the whole world is your own self. The world, all the Devatas, Ishvara, everyone is your own self. This is the Paramarthik Drishti. But that Paramatma alone is appearing like this world. Because of his Shakti called Maya, Paramatma alone is appearing like this world. And when he appears like this world, and when we look at him as this world, we can not only look at him as his world, but we can interact with this world also. We can transact with this world. Therefore, this world is also called a transactional reality. Vyavaharik Satta, transactional reality. And within this world, certain things appear which are not really there, but it appears. Like you look at the sky, it appears blue, but it is not really blue. Sky doesn't have any color, but it appears blue, so it is called Pratibhasik Satta. So this Pratibhasik Satta is also depending on the Vyavaharik Satta, and this Vyavaharik Satta depends on the Paramarthik Satta. So Paramatma is the real thing, is the absolute reality. Paramatma appearing like this world is a transactional reality. Paramatma appearing like the blueness of the sky, etc., is a pratibhasik reality. But not knowing this and imagining things in my head is wrong knowledge, is mithya. The world which I have misunderstood, which is there only in my head, is mithya. The world in front of me is not mithya. If this is understood, in meditation, our attention should be focused on the Paramarthik Satta, not on the Vyavaharik Satta. Our attention should be focused on Paramatma, not on the world which is an appearance of Paramatma. Because the world is appearing and we interact with the world, there is Vyavahar. But in meditation, we have to transcend Vyavahar. We have to transcend all Vyavahar. We have to transcend all transactions. So we have to shift our attention from the names and forms, which is the transactional reality, to that Swarupa, the essence. Just like let us say, a doll which is made of sugar. Our attention can be on that doll. Let us say some animal is made from sugar. Let us say a dog is made from sugar. So we can just look at that as a dog made of sugar. But I can also look at it as sugar. I have to shift my attention from the name dog and the form dog and pay attention to sugar. Similarly, in meditation, we have to shift our attention from all names and forms and pay attention to that pure self. So the self in me is the self in all. The self in me is Paramatma, and other than Paramatma, nothing is there. Everything is Paramatma. This world is Paramatma. Therefore, when the mind gets distracted and start thinking of some object, shift your attention from that object by saying that in that object, Paramatma alone is there. The name and form is just an expression of Paramatma, but the reality is that Paramatma. That's what. It's very subtle, very sukshma, but please contemplate and try to understand, because that is what Bhagavan is conveying here, because this is the highest technique of meditation, the ultimate, because only by gaining abidance in that Atma as Paramatma, one will gain liberation. This is not, we are not talking about upasana. We are not talking about some practice of meditation. This is the highest technique by which we have to gain abidance in ourself as Brahma, as Paramatma. So Bhagavan says, Yato yato nischarati manaschanchalam astiram tatastato niyamya tada atmani eva vasham nayet. So wherever the mind runs around, let it run wherever it wants to go. There itself you see the presence of Paramatma. There is no need to restrain the mind and bring it to the body. Wherever the mind goes, understand that as Paramatma. Later on, in other Upanishads and all, it is said that an enlightened person doesn't have to restrain the mind, because he knows wherever the mind goes, he sees the presence of Ishvara there, presence of Brahma there. Yatra yatra mano yati tatra tatra samadhayah. Wherever his mind goes, there itself he attains samadhi. Doesn't have to withdraw the mind from the world, withdraw the mind from the body and take it inside the heart, and all these things are not required. Wherever the mind goes, Paramatma is there itself. If the mind goes in the past, Paramatma is in the past. If the mind goes in the present, see Paramatma in the present. Mind goes in future, see Paramatma in future. Mind goes in some object, see Paramatma in that object. Mind goes anywhere. Sarvam khalvidam Brahma. So this is the highest technique of meditation. So contemplate on this, think about it, practice it, understand it properly. And more about this we will see in our class tomorrow. Till then, stay safe, happy, peaceful, healthy. Do your work, do your sadhana, and we meet again tomorrow. Hari Om, Hari Om. Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. 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 Jaya Jaya Ram, Jaya Jaya Ram. Bole Siyavar Ramachandra Bhagwan ki Jai. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Hari Om.